Hello everyone. Today I decided to continue our discussion about words and mental imagery, about what is primary, thought or words. I read your comments on the previous video and I'm really happy that many understood what I was talking about. Those who did not understand, maybe it's just not your time yet to grasp it, or you might try watching this video to understand something more deeply. Or it might be that some of you are not familiar at all with what I was talking about previously, including the topic of disconnecting from the energy drains. And so some people simply do not understand how working with intention and pure energy is done at all. Some are asking me to talk about intentions because they want to build their reality themselves. They want to work with reality. But to manage reality, you need to work with the original source. And building reality involves a mental image, a thought form, whatever you prefer to call it. For those who don't quite get it yet, to build a mental image, you need to completely turn off your inner dialogue. Working with pure energy means having no inner dialogue whatsoever while you do it. That is the ideal condition for working with pure energy. As I've said many times, the presence of an internal dialogue, thinking in words, is not normal. You should not be thinking in words. That is an effect of these energetic attachments, these plug-ins we've discussed. If you think in words, it means someone is transmitting these thoughts to you, either as a direct broadcast or as a sort of radio. It is not a product of your true mental process. Any person, any soul naturally thinks in mental images and energy. If we take the basis of our thought processes in their purest form, they function like a computer solving a very complex equation at lightning speed. If we consider pure energy based in thinking, i.e., thinking in images and energetic thought forms, it's like typing a complicated equation into a computer, pressing enter, and getting the result almost instantly in a fraction of a second. Maybe you've noticed that when you have a sudden insight, a moment of understanding, you instantly perceive a large volume of information in a split second. That's the speed of working with mental imagery, accepting information energetically and processing it without words. But when there is this blah blah blah, this verbal thinking in your head, it's as if you take that complicated equation that a computer could solve instantly and try to do it by hand. Something that takes pure thought, forms a fraction of a second, could take half a day if you rely solely on word-based thinking. And even then, doing it in words is less accurate and takes far longer. Verbal thinking is like a huge enemy when you are forming intentions or trying to work with pure energy or reading subtle information. Internal dialogue is not normal for your thinking. Questions about my competence or about some kind of ancient letters or script are irrelevant. There are 7,000 languages on our parallel alone with all their dialects and variations. Which language's alphabet or script would you consider true? Who decides that? Saying that one language is true and another is not doesn't make sense. Some people bring up certain linguistic manipulations, like saying, don't be ill versus be healthy, as if changing these words somehow changes reality. That's psychological manipulation, not genuine energetic work. I'm not teaching you psychological manipulation. I'm explaining how intention and energy work. The techniques used by media, advertising, and certain organizations rely on subtle word manipulations to program subconscious reactions and shape the imagery people have in their minds. If you want examples, just turn on any TV channel. Beautiful words about love and health can be used to manipulate you into attaching yourself to certain systems. Just like these energetic attachments, we talked about that promise love and goodness while actually locking you into something else. I'm trying to say that words as themselves don't matter as much as the energy and thought form behind them. Someone can smile at you and say nice words. Be well, I wish you all the best, while thinking terrible things about you. What energy is really being transmitted? It's the thought and the intention behind the words that matter, not the words themselves. From changing the order of words, from substituting certain phrases, the sum doesn't change. The essence remains in the mental image that underlies whatever is being said. The intention and energy come first, then come words. Words can serve as a crutch, a temporary aid if you still rely on language-based thinking to shape your mental images. But a crutch is not a solution. It's just something that helps you move when your leg is broken, so to speak. For proper work with intention, with pure energy, you ideally shouldn't need any crutch. Many people may need it initially because they don't know how to form mental images without words, and that's fine. But remember that using words consciously to shape a mental image is just a temporary measure until you learn to do it directly. For example, if you want to create an intention for health, you don't need to say, I am healthy or I am not ill. You just need to feel yourself as healthy, to completely immerse in that state and experience it with every fiber of your being. That state, that mental blueprint, is your intention. Words are optional. Intention is simply the creation of a mental image, an energetic pattern that guides the flow of matter. Matter obeys spirit energy, and spirit energy is your soul's capacity to form these mental constructs. This is the foundation of all reality creation. If you build your mental images properly, you can shape your reality so that the things you want come into your life, so that you live as you prefer, not as someone else dictates. You become the driver of your own vehicle instead of a passenger driven around by a stranger. To get into the driver's seat and take control, you need to understand that eliminating internal dialogue is crucial. Without internal dialogue distracting you with endless words, you can work much more effectively with pure energy, whether it's setting intentions, reading subtle plans, or something else. If you operate without internal dialogue, you have a 90% guarantee of success in building your reality. When I create an intention, I do not say a single word. I don't worry about not using the word not or about phrasing something in a particular way. I don't think in words at all. I form a mental image. I feel the state I want to achieve. If I want health, I don't say, I'm healthy. I feel myself as healthy. I immerse myself in that state completely without words. The mental image must be fully three-dimensional, so to speak. You must experience it as if it already exists, as if you can touch and feel it. Once you've created that fully immersive state, that's your template, and you release it into reality. That's working with pure energy. Many who understand how to work with reality know exactly what I mean. This is why I was reluctant to jump into the topic of intention early on. Many people still have numerous blocks and beliefs that limit them. They believe in their blocks as if they were absolute truths carved in stone. Until you free yourself from these ingrained rules and realize that you, not these rules, have the final say, it's hard to build stable mental frameworks for intention. Your belief systems, those it's impossible or it can't happen thoughts, act as blocks. You must come to understand that everything depends on what you believe. If you believe something is impossible, you block it from your reality. Once again, making a choice about what you want and forming an intention is also making a choice. When you build a mental image, you hold it, sense it, and say to yourself, not in words, but in feeling, I choose this. I want this in my reality. That choice itself can be nonverbal. It's a feeling, a knowing that this is my choice. The feeling is primary, Ari, not the words. This is the foundation of everything I've been talking about. This is why I've said you shouldn't read other people's codings blindly. Codings are when words are loaded with hidden intentions. They can write all sorts of sweet things about love, happiness, sunshine, rainbows, but what's the underlying message they're embedding? This is why you need to be careful about what you agree to, what you let into your subconscious. This is how television and other media can zombify people. They present messages wrapped in pretty words, and if you keep swallowing them without critical awareness, you end up believing all sorts of nonsense. Understanding that words can be used to manipulate your consciousness is key. This does not mean that manipulations like saying be healthy instead of don't be ill have no effect. They might have a psychological or energetic influence, but it's about understanding the physical and energetic side of why it works. Some people doubt my experience or my understanding of subtle energies. They have read a lot of literature and consider themselves more competent. That's their choice. My purpose is to show the underlying mechanics. If someone prefers to keep using crutches, linguistic gimmicks to shape their reality, that's their right. But I am explaining how to walk without crutches, how to create intentions directly. If you rely on crutches, that's your choice. I'm not here to say walking with crutches is good or bad, just that it's easier to learn to walk properly from the start than to first learn on crutches and then have to wean yourself off them. Relearning is always harder. Many people's belief systems are so ingrained, it's as if they're etched in stone, making it difficult to abandon them. It depends on each person's willingness to receive and accept new information. I've talked a lot again today, not sure how productive this was for everyone. As for future discussions about intention, we'll see how it goes. Those who were ready to understand probably got something valuable out of it. Perhaps someone will finally start working on silencing their inner dialogue, realizing it's not normal and only serves as a distracting radio station in your head. Removing internal dialogue is essential because it prevents you from thinking in pure imagery, which is your original mode of thought. This internal radio station is not just some random anomaly, it's connected to energy attachments and manipulations by energetic structures and egregores. Of course, you should still pay attention to what you say and how you say it. Some common phrases carry programming that's best removed from your vocabulary. I had to do this myself when I was disconnecting from the system. Many words and phrases we use automatically can serve as triggers or codes. Catching yourself using them and removing them is useful. Still, all of this works only if you accept it. If you have set up your personal boundaries and understand that your will is primary, these words can't harm you. Nobody can intrude on you just because you said something incorrectly. It's like believing that if you own a TV or fridge, that gives a burglar the right to enter your apartment. That's nonsense. I hope we've cleared up the idea of crutches. Crutches are not inherently good or bad, but starting without them is better than becoming dependent, having to drop them later. Learning things correctly from the start is easier than relearning later. Changing deeply ingrained habits is always harder. Again, this depends on each person's readiness to accept new ideas. I know I've talked a lot and given many examples. As for the topic of intention, we'll see how and when to develop it further. Those who are ready will understand. For now, I advise you to move out of the matrix like perception of the world to start understanding not just the superficial rules you've etched in your mind, but to get into the physical side of the issue, how it really works on an energetic level. It's like if I try to explain how electricity works and you just say, I see the light bulb turn on when I flip the switch and that's all I need to know. You say, Nadezda, why are you telling me about current and wires? I just see the lamp turning on and off. But I'm trying to explain how and why it lights up in the first place, not just the flipping of a switch. Some might want to listen and prefer to remain in their simplified view. That's their choice. Truly, that's all for now. Take care, everyone. I love you all. Break free from the matrix perception. Start really trying to understand how things work at a fundamental level. Everything is actually very simple if you allow it to be. As for intention, we'll see what comes next. Those who understood will move on. Until next time, and all the best. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. Become a member of my Telegram channel and discuss with like-minded people as a supporting club member.